Can the Pronto Compact 4 from Outdoor Revolution solve the main issue of windbreaks in that putting them up is an absolute... Hi, it's Dave T here, and I'm re-recording this voiceover for the review because ironically it was a bit windy when I first recorded it, which affected the audio. And I'm now actually here in Austria, where we've had a chance to use the windbreak on the way here. Now, windbreaks can be very useful either to gain a bit of shelter from the outside wind if sitting or cooking outside, or to give a bit more privacy on busier sites. Now, if you put up a traditional windbreak, you'll know that it can be a frustrating task even with the help of a second person. This is because they have no inherent structure until they are fully erected with guy ropes. So until then, they need someone else to support them. Enter the Pronto Windbreak range from Outdoor Revolution, which has a semi-rigid design, which means that even in a light breeze, it can be self-standing. We purchased the Pronto Compact 4, which is the lower cost model and has 4 panels. Outdoor Revolution did sell 3-panel versions, but as far as I can tell, they aren't mentioned in the 2025 range, so have possibly been discontinued. There are 4 models in the range as shown here. The main differences are the canvas material quality, the weight, and the inclusion of windows on some of the models. Now, I'm not actually sure how accurate the website's weights are, but the Pronto Compact model that we purchased weighed in at 6.24 kilos, with the supplied pegs accounting for 0.4 kilos of that weight. The Pronto comes supplied in a bag which contains a second bag containing 2 fiberglass end poles, a third small bag containing 13 wire pegs, spare guy, and a repair patch, and of course the windbreak itself. Now, when packed, ours measured 960 millimeters long by about 180 millimeters in diameter. Now, the Pronto's secret is in the pyramid shape of each of the Pronto's panels. If we look at this pyramid, its sides are made up of 4 triangles, but if we take each of those triangles and lay them down flat, we find that they don't actually fit within the base of the pyramid. This is the secret of how the Pronto works, since to collapse the pyramid-shaped panel, the fabric has to be stretched, which obviously doesn't want to do, so a fair amount of force is required to pop it out of its very strong pyramid shape. So it should be sturdy in all but the strongest of winds. The instructions that come with the Pronto are pretty vague, but despite that, putting up the Pronto is very simple. I found it easiest to start with the Pronto laid pole side up, and you can then insert the end poles at this point to give it a bit more weight whilst not pegged down. The next step is to pop each panel into its rigid state, and to do this I press the padded joint section down whilst gently lifting just one of the corners up. Some steady force is required to get the poles to flex past that flat point where they're effectively too long, and it may feel like they're going to break, but don't worry, they definitely won't. As soon as they pass the level where they are under the most compression, they will pop out the other side. It's often quite an abrupt transition, but again, don't worry, it's not too vicious, and if you're pushing the padded part with your hand, then you won't get your fingers trapped or anything like that. As you can see, the panel is now quite rigid, and you can then repeat the procedure with the other panels. Once all of the panels are made up, simply lift the windbreak into the vertical position. In stronger winds, it may be good to have a helper with you, but in calm weather, it's easy enough to do this on your own. Next, peg out the windbreak with the supplied pegs. There are 5 tie-down loops at the bottom corner of each panel. Each end pole has 2 guys, and each panel itself has a single guy extending from the center joint. This makes 13 tie-down points, so there's no spare pegs provided, but to be honest, I doubt this would ever be fully pegged out. The recommendation is to peg the Pronto into a gentle arc shape, but you can pretty much shape it however you like. The end panel has 2 guy ropes attached to a short piece of webbing and an eyelet. I found that the eyelet wouldn't fit over the top pole spike because the guy's already going through it, so I had to wrap them around the spike to avoid the guys pulling the canvas down the pole. Each end panel has a Kadar strip, which is used for attaching to a vertical awning rail or Outdoor Revolution's screen house. Now, this is a nice feature, but bear in mind that most caravan and motorhome awning rails have end stops and limited feed points, so I'm not sure how easy it would be to actually get the windbreak attached to the awning rail. The end panel at least would probably need to be in its non-rigid state, and even then it might be quite awkward to do. Once up, the 4-panel version is 1.2 meters high and 6.2 meters long. Collapsing the Pronto is very easy. Simply unpeg the windbreak, lay it flat, pyramid points up, and then press down on the center point. Once all of the panels are collapsed, simply fold the floppy windbreak in half and roll it out from one end. So what do I think of the Pronto windbreak? Well, in terms of ease of use, it's a definite winner. Even first time out in a moderate breeze, it was easy to put up with no help at all. Once up, those semi-rigid panels really are surprisingly strong, and providing it's pegged out properly, I can see it withstanding pretty strong winds. I've previously reviewed Campodometic's Airbrake Pro inflatable windbreak, which is pretty much double the price and also heavier. In terms of how easy they are to put up, the Pronto is probably easier, especially if you don't have an electric pump for the air windbreak. Outdoor Revolution also make an air windbreak in the form of the Oxygen Pro, which is not as expensive as the Dometic Airbrake, still more than any of the Pronto range. Now, like most things, the Pronto could be improved. For example, the minor niggle is the bag. Generally, bags for awnings, etc. are only just large enough, making packing quite awkward. In the Pronto's case, it's very much on the large side, which, given that there's really only one way you can fold up the Pronto, is a bit unnecessary. Personally, I prefer if the bag was a much snugger fit, as it actually makes storing the Pronto much tidier. But as I say, those are very minor niggles and certainly wouldn't put me off recommending the Pronto. Most importantly, the Pronto is more likely to get used, whereas the traditional windbreaks we've had in the past tend to just get left unused because they are such a nuisance to put up. Hope you found this video helpful or interesting, and if you have, then please do hit that like button, and if you're interested in seeing other videos I make, then please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos. But most of all, thanks for watching.